What if I told you, Ford built Fairlanes so rare, so bold, they vanished before most people even knew they existed? Not in museums, not in car shows, hidden in garages, forgotten in barns, whispered about by collectors like urban legends. We're not talking about your everyday classics. These are Fairlanes with retractable roofs, dragstrip DNA, prototype bloodlines, and factory quirks that left even Ford engineers scratching their heads. Some were built for speed, others for style, and a few, well, they were built because someone dared to break the rules. But here's the catch, most people have never seen them, and by the time this video ends, you'll be one of the rare few who has. So don't blink, don't skip, because the next 10 Fairlanes, they're not just rare, they're the ultra rarest. And we begin with a Fairlane so ahead of its time, its roof wasn't just futuristic, it was see-through. Number 1. Ford Fairlane Crown Victoria Skyliner, 1956. The Fairlane with a see-through soul. In 1956, Ford introduced one of its boldest design experiments ever, the Crown Victoria Skyliner. Unlike anything else on the road, this version featured a transparent acrylic plexiglass panel over the front half of the roof. At a glance, it looked like something straight out of a 1960s sci-fi movie, but this was real, and it rolled off Ford's production line nearly a decade earlier. Built on the upscale Crown Victoria trim, the Skyliner wasn't just about novelty. It came with top-tier chrome work, a wide-body stance, and the signature stainless basket-handle roof band that gave the car its royal name. Buyers could opt for Ford's Thunderbird 5.8, giving this cruiser some real muscle under all that glass and glamour. But the real story, it didn't last. Just 1,999 Skyliners were built in 1956. Why so few? Because that clear roof didn't block heat well, and interior temperatures soared in the summer. Most buyers passed in favor of solid roofs, making the Skyliner a short-lived oddity. Today, very few survive in original condition, making it one of the ultra-rarest Fairlanes Ford ever made. It's a rolling time capsule of Ford's fearless design era, one that you'll almost never see at a car show. And if you think this was bold, wait till you meet the Fairlane that took mid-size performance and turned it into a street-level weapon. Number 2. Ford Fairlane 500 Sports Coupe, 1962. The sleeper that quietly changed everything. By 1962, Ford was ready to experiment. The full-size Fairlane had grown heavy, and the compact Falcon was too small for serious power. So Ford introduced a new idea, the mid-size Fairlane, slotted perfectly in between. But the real gem wasn't just the size, it was what they hid inside. Enter the Fairlane 500 Sports Coupe. At first glance, it looked like your average family car, but under the hood, Ford placed something brand new, the 221 cubic inch small block V8, the very first of the legendary Windsor V8 series. This engine would go on to power Mustangs, Falcons, and even GT40s. But it all began here. Paired with a lightweight unibody frame and optional 4-speed manual, the Sports Coupe was agile, responsive, and surprisingly quick. It brought performance to the middle class without the flash of a muscle car, making it a true sleeper on the streets. But here's the twist, most people ignored it. Overshadowed by the growing muscle car wars, the 1962 Fairlane 500 Sports Coupe quietly faded into the background. And today, clean survivors are nearly impossible to find, making this Fairlane a hidden pillar in Ford's performance legacy. And speaking of style with hidden strength, up next we take a sharp U-turn into the bold chrome beauty of 1955 with a factory twist most collectors still hunt for. The Town Sedan with the legendary Continental kit. Number 3. Ford Fairlane Town Sedan with Continental kit, 1955, when style meant presence, not just power. The year 1955 was big for Ford. It marked the debut of the Fairlane nameplate, and with it a wave of bold design language that screamed confidence. But one model stood out from the pack, not because it roared the loudest, but because it looked like it belonged on a Hollywood backlot. The 1955 Ford Fairlane Town Sedan, especially when equipped with the factory Continental kit, was a rolling sculpture. That extended rear bumper and spare tire mount wasn't just for show, it added nearly a foot to the car's length, giving it a commanding road presence. Combine that with its signature two-tone paint schemes and wraparound windshield, and you had a car that looked far more luxurious than its price tag suggested. Inside, it offered bench seats wrapped in textured vinyl, chrome trim across the dash, and an optional push-button radio, high-tech for its time. While the Town Sedan was a common sight in the 50s, very few were ordered with the Continental kit directly from the factory, making these versions far rarer than collectors realize. Today, spotting an original, unrestored example, still wearing its factory colors and kit, is like finding buried treasure. Most were modified or lost to time, and very few survived the decades intact. But if you thought chrome flair was rare, wait till we take a detour into Ford's wildest factory experiment, built not for the boulevard but the drag strip. Number 4. 1964 Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt. The Fairlane that was born to break rules and records. This wasn't just a car, it was Ford's secret weapon in the war for dragstrip dominance. Meet the 1964 Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt, a factory-built monster so wild it had to be tamed by professionals. Ford created the Thunderbolt for one reason: to win in NHRA superstock drag racing. It started with the lightweight Fairlane two-door post body, stripped of every non-essential: no radio, no heater, fiberglass front fenders and hood, plexiglass windows, and crammed inside that bare shell, the legendary 427 cubic inch FE V8, lifted directly from the racing galaxies, built with dual Holly 4 barrels on a high-rise intake. Output: Ford rated it at 425 horsepower, but real numbers were easily over 500. That's why the Thunderbolt could run the quarter mile in the low 11s, straight off the showroom floor. Only 100 Thunderbolts were made in 1964 to qualify for NHRA rules, 41 automatics and 59 4-speeds. Ford worked with Dearborn steel tubing to build them, and they were sold only to experienced racers. These weren't show cars, they were track killers. Today, surviving Thunderbolts are considered holy grails in the muscle car world. Restored originals fetch six-figure prices, and their racing pedigree makes them legends beyond the Fairlane nameplate. But what if Ford used its innovation not for speed but for spectacle? Coming up next, we go from the strip to the stage with a Fairlane whose roof could disappear at the push of a button. Number 5. Ford Fairlane 500 Skyliner Retractable. When Ford turned a hardtop into magic. In 1957, Ford stunned the world, not with speed but with science. The Fairlane 500 Skyliner Retractable wasn't just a convertible. It was the first mass-produced car in the world with a fully retractable hardtop roof, operated by electric motors and solenoids. With the push of a button, the entire metal roof folded into the trunk, something no other automaker had dared to try. This wasn't a gimmick. The mechanism was made up of 7 electric motors, 4 lift jacks, 10 solenoids and hundreds of feet of wiring, an absolute marvel in the pre-digital era. It took nearly 60 seconds to complete the transformation. But watching it in action was like watching a transformer in slow motion. Despite its futuristic flair, the Skyliner had compromises. The complex mechanism ate up trunk space, and at nearly 4,000 pounds, it was heavier than most full-size sedans of its time. But for those who wanted attention and could afford it, it was unbeatable. Between 1957 and 1959, Ford built over 48,000 Skyliners, but true survivors, restored to original factory specs, are becoming increasingly rare, especially from the first-year 57 models. And if this folding roof blew your mind, wait until you meet the next Fairlane, a wagon with wood-trimmed sides, V8 guts and a muscle car soul hiding behind family car looks. Number 6. Ford Fairlane 500 Squire Wagon, 1963. The family wagon that hunted like a muscle car. At first glance, the 1963 Fairlane 500 Squire Wagon looked like any other suburban hauler. Faux wood paneling, roof rack, wide bench seats. It had all the ingredients of a family cruiser. But what made this Fairlane rare wasn't just its trim, it was the unusual mix of performance and utility, packaged in a way that collectors would only appreciate decades later. Built on Ford's mid-size unibody platform, the Squire wagon was offered with several engine options, including the 260 cubic inch V8, a stepping stone in Ford's small block legacy. That made this long-roof Fairlane surprisingly quick off the line, especially when paired with the optional 4-speed manual transmission. For a grocery getter, it could move, but rarity comes down to the trim and survival rate. The Squire name meant it came with simulated wood grain siding, a premium interior, and bright exterior accents. It was more expensive than the standard wagon, and fewer were ordered. Most were driven hard, rusted out or junked because back then, wagons weren't collectible. Today, a clean, factory-correct Fairlane 500 Squire is one of the rarest Fairlane variants left on the road. And don't let the wood siding fool you. It was every bit a V8-powered Ford underneath. But if you think a wagon with muscle is surprising, wait till we shift to a Fairlane that combined raw GT power with an automatic twist. Number 7. 1966 Ford Fairlane GTA 390. When muscle met the magic of automatic. In 1966, Ford gave the Fairlane a serious attitude adjustment. Enter the GT and GTA trims, performance-focused versions designed to muscle up the mid-size segment. While most collectors today remember the 4-speed GT, the GTA with its automatic transmission has quietly become the ultra-rare prize among enthusiasts. Powered by the 390 cubic inch FE V8, the GTA delivered 335 horsepower and 427 lb-foot of torque. This was no grocery getter. It was a mid-size missile. But unlike the typical manual shift muscle cars of the day, The GTA came exclusively with Ford's Cruiso-Matic automatic, making it one of the few big-block Fairlanes aimed at buyers who wanted speed without shifting gears. It featured dual exhausts, power front disc brakes, a domed hood, special GT badging, and bucket seats. Performance inside and out, yet despite its muscle, the GTA was often overshadowed by the GT's purist appeal. Because of that, fewer GTAs were produced, and even fewer survive in original condition. Collectors now understand the significance. The GTA was Ford's first true attempt at pairing real muscle with automatic convenience, making it a key evolutionary step in Ford's performance playbook. But we're not done chasing ghosts yet. We rewind to a one-year-only Fairlane coupe that stood out with quad headlights and space-age fins. Number 8. Ford Fairlane 500 Victoria Hardtop Coupe, 1958. A one-year wonder with space-age flair. The late 1950s were all about pushing boundaries. Longer bodies, sharper fins, and bolder chrome. And Ford's answer in 1958 was the stunning Fairlane 500 Victoria Hardtop Coupe, a model that only lived for a single year but left a lasting impression. What made it special? First, the design. 1958 marked the debut of quad headlights on the Fairlane, along with a dramatically sculpted body featuring deep side creases and pronounced rear fins. It looked like it was built for a Jetsons-era future. The Victoria Coupe added pillarless hardtop styling, giving it a sleek, uninterrupted profile that made it one of the best-looking Fairlanes of the decade. Under the hood, it offered several engine choices, from the base inline 6 to the 352 cubic inch V8 Interceptor, producing up to 300 horsepower. Buyers could pair it with a 3-speed manual overdrive or Ford's Cruiso-Matic automatic transmission. It wasn't just flash, it had substance, but its production run was short. With only 1 year in this exact design, the 1958 Victoria became a collectible anomaly. Many were lost to rust or neglect, and clean survivors today, especially with original paint and trim, are rare sightings, even at Ford-only shows. But what if we told you the rarest Fairlane wasn't even sold to the public? Up next is a prototype most people don't even know existed. Number 9. Ford Fairlane Ranchero 1967. Prototype. Now here's something almost nobody's ever laid eyes on, a Fairlane that became a Ranchero, and then disappeared. Back in 1967, Ford engineers experimented with blending the style and performance of the Fairlane with the utility of the Ranchero. The result? A Fairlane-based Ranchero prototype that was never released to the public. This wasn't just a rebadged ute. It carried the crisp, muscular styling of the 1967 Fairlane front end, paired with the Ranchero's bed and utility-focused rear profile. Only a handful of these prototypes were reportedly built, mainly for internal testing and executive review. Some say fewer than 3 were ever completed, and only one is known to have survived in the hands of a private collector. It was intended to bridge the gap between Ford's muscle and utility lines, giving buyers something practical but still full of 1960s attitude. Had it gone into production, it could have rewritten the Ranchero's legacy entirely, but corporate priorities shifted, and the project was shelved. That's why spotting this Fairlane-based Ranchero is like discovering a hidden chapter in Ford's muscle car playbook. Still with us? Good, because the final car in this list isn't just rare, it's a complete mystery that Ford buried for decades. Stay locked in for number 10. 1965 Ford Fairlane Z-Code 289 HiPo, the hidden street warrior. You've probably heard of the Mustang HiPo or the 289 K-Code, but here's a hidden gem most muscle car lovers overlook. The 1965 Ford Fairlane Z-Code 289 HiPo. This wasn't just any Fairlane. It came equipped with a Z-Code 289 cubic inch V8, featuring a solid lifter camshaft, forged pistons, and a 4-barrel carburetor, delivering serious punch right from the factory. While the Mustang stole headlines, this Fairlane quietly packed the same firepower under the hood and in a slightly lighter body. It was a sleeper in the truest sense. With its clean lines, minimal badging, and understated presence, no one expected this Fairlane to roar like a street predator. Many buyers back then didn't even know this configuration existed. It wasn't advertised loudly, and it rarely shows up today in collector circles. That makes surviving Z-Code Fairlanes unbelievably rare. But here's the kicker. Most people confuse it with regular Fairlanes and never realize they're staring at one of Ford's best-kept factory hot rod secrets. The few that remain, they're snatched up by insiders who know exactly what this car represents. A forgotten chapter of raw V8 muscle disguised in a gentleman's suit. And now that you've seen the full list of ultra-rare Fairlanes, ask yourself, how many of these legends did you even know existed? Now here's the kicker. Why did Ford not push this blend of luxury and speed further? Why bury such an icon beneath more mainstream muscle? Keep watching till the end because the story behind that decision will surprise you. So which ultra-rare Fairlane stole your heart? Let us know in the comments below. And if you've seen or driven one of these gems in real life, we want to hear your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next chapter of American automotive history. More rare machines, forgotten legends, and chrome dreams are just around the corner, only on Regal Rides. And remember, it's not just about the car, it's about the story it tells.